Welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our value options for Wednesday, March 15th, 2017. Last night, I think, went odd. I know we had Quincy AC, who apparently his primary duty last night was just to foul whoever was on the floor. So he didn't turn out well. I thought we had Jeremy Lin. I'm trying to check on that now. We had Ian Clark, who not really anything spectacular. And Jordan Crawford, who just fell flat. It was really shocking. The game was well out of hand. And down the stretch, they just decided that they didn't want to risk whatever he was. So hopefully we'll bounce back from that tonight. We've definitely got some better options today. Let's start things off with someone who could easily be the chalk play of the night. Let's first start with who our projection system likes at the value tier. We are sitting with Cody Zeller, Mo Harkless. I think Rondo's still kind of in that value tier. Buddy Hield, Kelly Olynyk, Jordan Crawford. So those are the guys that aren't on this list who turn out pretty well in our module. Let's start things off with who's likely to be the chalk play tonight at the value tier as long as Nicholas Batum is out. And that's Jeremy Lamb, shooting guard, Charlotte Hornets. 11-2 on Fantasy Draft, 4,900 FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. This is over a 2K jump on DraftKings. I do not think it's going to deter the vast majority of players. I am probably going to be out on him in tournaments just because he's not the type of player who's been a consistent producer through his career. He's been extremely up and down. And this is a rivalry game, folks. Michael Jordan used to play for Chicago. Now he owns the Hornets. And Reggie Miller played for Indiana, and Michael and Reggie didn't really like each other. So I guess we have that dynamic. I'm just kind of joshing with all the people who try to look for excessive narratives, like I mentioned in my first video. Nothing to be concerned about with the matchup here, but it's just a situation where I don't think that every single time that Lamb gets the opportunity, he's going to produce like this. I think we saw this earlier in the year where he came in, had a start, just blew the doors wide open. Everybody rushed back the next night, and he put up a stinker. So I'm probably going to reserve my play on him for FanDuel, where his price is a little bit cheaper. But I think he's still a fine play. Probably a little too much for my blood on Fantasy Draft at 11-2 in any format. But nonetheless, he's someone you should at least be aware about. You have to remember, some of this video is strategy. It's not just, hey, put this guy in your lineup tonight. Look, I don't want to do that. That's not what my goal is necessarily. My goal is to make you aware of situations, have you look deeper into them. I might be wrong. My research might indicate one thing. You might find another. Always trust your gut at the end of the night, because it's much easier to say, I wish I would have listened, as opposed to saying, I wish I would have stuck to my gut. You know, when someone else loses you money, it's always a tougher pill to swallow than if you lose yourself money. So just kind of be mindful of that. The next guy I want to talk about, really good situation tonight. I like how this matchup plays out for him, and the price is beautiful for the upside, and that's the small forward / power forward from the Minnesota Timberwolves, Nemanja Bjelica, 8,800 Fantasy Draft, 4,400 FanDuel and DraftKings. This guy is a legit value option. He's a guy who has been playing very well. Price just doesn't go anywhere. Just stays where it's at, and he keeps churning out 25 to 35 fantasy point outings. What do I like about him? Number one, he's outplayed everyone else on the Wizards bench, so I don't think you have to worry about a situation where Shabazz Muhammad or Tyus Jones or Chris Dunn are going to get the run that he was getting. He plays athletic. The types of players that Boston is likely to counter with tonight as they try to keep this game competitive. The Wolves are a very competitive basketball team. Their record might not be the best, but they're like the Sixers. They're a team that just doesn't go away. We've seen them cut into 30-point leads multiple times this year. Boston will run a smaller lineup from time to time, and actually most of the time during crunch time, you're not going to see too much of Amir Johnson unless the opponent dictates it. Again, going back to our previous video where I talked about the Lakers or the Clippers and how they like to have DeAndre and Blake on the floor during crunch time. If you're trying to play catch up, you kind of have to play to the strengths of the other team, or the weaknesses of the other team rather, and so that could be by combating them with a player of a similar skill set, if that makes any sense. Anyway, the way that they play involves guys like Marcus Smart entering or Kelly Olynyk entering and Amir Johnson taking a seat, meaning the overall size and the type of player that's on the floor is way less Gorgie Jang and way more Nemanja Bjelica. This guy has been a double-double machine as of late. Even if he goes out and has a bad game, I think you're looking at 19 or 20 fantasy points. If he has a great game on DraftKings and he's able to come up with another double-double and the shooting is falling because he's a three-point guy too, you could be looking at 40 points here. I mean, it's not out of the realm of expectation, especially considering how badly Andrew Wiggins is not playing well. I mean, he's just not good right now. So he's a guy I'm going to have heavily in my tournaments tonight, have a really good feeling about what he's going to be able to turn out for us. Last up, let's talk about, if it's not Jeremy Lamb, who might be the highest owned value type player on the slate. And it's going to be Ivica Zubac of the Los Angeles Lakers against the Houston Rockets. 10-5 fantasy draft, 4,900 FanDuel, 5,300 on DraftKings. I'm going to be playing this guy like 100% of my lineups until he's probably at least 7K. He's that good. He's good. I'm hoping that the spread of this game just takes all of the intrigue away from fantasy players. I'm hoping that they see like, oh man, Houston's a 17-point favorite. There's no way that the Lakers guys are going to see time on the court. Luke Walton has my respect. I don't think he's a great coach necessarily, but he's saying, look, we're a young team. We're awful. We get it. No matter how bad things get, I'm running my guys out there. So even in a blowout, Zubac saw the entire fourth quarter, and he was able to put up a monster game. And plus, you're going to be playing against backups at that point. I mean, I'm going to take Zubac over Montrezl Harrell pretty much every time. I don't think that there's anything he's going to do to stop him. There's very little that Capella or Nene are going to be able to do. They do not play well in the paint. Not a great rebounding team, and there's going to be a lot of missed shots. So I think Zubac, maybe he doesn't have the huge double-double, but I think he can still get you to 30 fantasy points tonight. All right, that'll wrap it up for our value podcast today. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking subscribe below. Head over to researchfantasy.com, sign up for our NBA mailing list. Head over to Facebook, like us there, follow us on Twitter at researchandwin, and join us again tomorrow.